Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Friday in my world, and I'm so happy. Thursdays and Fridays are big teaching days for me. So it's a happy day. So, yes, I am on a little bit earlier than I normally am today because I have a commitment earlier today than I normally do. So, just letting you know, giving you a heads up that Fridays will probably be earlier. So, if you want to catch me live earlier, go for it. If you're live, say hi in the comments. If you're watching replay, you can either comment #replay or let me know where you're watching from. How's that sound? Or what time it is where you are, since it's 7:45 a.m. here in Minneapolis, Twin Cities, Minnesota. So today we're talking about, did you just start your first music job mid-year? If so, I gotcha. Part of the reason why I got you is because I did too. Let me tell you just a hair about me if you are new, and let's connect. I would love to connect with you. My name is Andrea Oram. I am a music teacher. I teach homeschool music classes, choirs, private lessons for voice, ukulele, and piano. And I love mentoring new music teachers and helping them settle in, helping them thrive, helping them feel successful, and also be able to do some things that don't require them to have a full-time job, or way over a full-time job, if you know what I mean. So then the reason why I started mid-year is because I used to teach public school. I used to teach in a couple different, in the past, I've taught in 2 different public school districts here in Twin Cities Metro in Minnesota, and I started mid-year. So I graduated in December, and then I jumped into a teaching position in January, which was, wow, what a whirlwind. And if you're in that position and you're just like, whew, where is up, right? Because that's how I felt when I first started. I was like, what just happened? Where is up? I don't know what to, there's so many built-in routines already that the kids think they know what to expect when they walk in this classroom. And that's not how I want to run my classroom. Or conversely, maybe somebody that was very well loved is retiring in the place that you are, and there's mixed feelings from the children, right? From the students. And so it can be really challenging on either side of that spectrum. And I want to give you just a couple tips, a couple, hey, I know what it's like, and here's what I wish I would have known then, and hope that will help you a little bit. So if you are a new teacher, especially if you're starting mid-year, give me a holler, say hi. I want to see who's here and really be able to support you and connect with you. So, number 1, focus on relationships. That starts with knowing kids' names. It's so important for you to start remembering and knowing your students' names. I know some of us can be really not so good at names. I know it's a lot of names, depending on if there's nicknames involved and all sorts of things, can be really challenging for us to remember. But that is one of the most important things you can do, period, as a teacher, but especially when you start mid-year like that, to immediately start connecting and knowing students' names. There's lots of tools out there that you can use. You can make a basic seating chart. You can take pictures of the students and then have them with your seating chart, so you really start to remember and review their names with their faces before or at home, things like that, along with doing it during class, to really start remembering exactly who your students are and making those connections. You can do silly, fun things to get to know kids better. I have an activity I do with my high schoolers almost every year because I get a lot of different names and faces, especially depending on if I get a lot of new kids in. We'll do this, especially even mid-year, but it's called the 3 things. Write down one thing you think everybody has in common in the room. Write down something that only some of the students in this room have in common. And then the last thing should be unique to them. So then we all start standing up, and as I read each one, some students sit down if it doesn't apply to them, until then there's only a couple students, or the only student standing up at the end is the student who wrote it. And so helps us get to know each other better, helps them realize that they aren't alone, that they have so much in common with the students around them. And so it's just kind of a fun get to know you activity. And I can basically read a couple each day. And so when they first write it down, I don't read them all the first day. I just read a couple at a time. And so we slowly get to know each other. And it's just kind of a fun, I don't know, fun little almost after break or beginning of the class type of activity, or it could be a good end of class activity. So that's a few ideas with that specific tool that I like to use to help me get to know students, remember their names, and learn more about them. Okay, so relationships and names. That was number 1. Okay, remember that. Focus on that. Number 2, if you can, it depends on your teaching situation. It depends on the type of job you have. Streamline your lesson planning. So what that looks like, at least what it looked like for me, was combining some of my grade levels so they were doing very similar or the same things. So I combined K and 1. So kindergarten and first were doing basically the same lesson every week. I combined 2 and 3, second and third, so that they were doing basically the same lesson. And then fourth and fifth, I combined, so that they were basically doing the same lesson. And the reason this was super helpful is because it really helped me to feel less overwhelmed about all the lesson planning and to focus on some of those relationship building things. Because one of the hard things is just getting into that rhythm routine of writing lessons, writing quality lessons, and having that feel smooth sailing, right? So even if you can just like have the same thing that they're doing, but then you can differentiate it, make it a little more challenging for the older ones and a little bit easier for the younger ones, that can be super helpful for you, help you save your sanity in the first few weeks at least, maybe even longer, depending on your administration and if you have to turn in lesson plans and like all those factors, right? But that was super helpful for me, really just starting out so that I could get my feet under me, really establish routines. That was number 3, establish routines for what you expect in your classroom, because there was somebody else in that space for half of the year before you arrived. And the students may have a different idea of what it looks like to walk into that room, for example. If you're working with younger kids, they have imprinted memories on that room itself. At least my students did. So they had a certain expectation for what they could or couldn't do when they walked in that room that was not the same as what I wanted and was not the same as what I expected. So I had to be very clear at the beginning, before they would even walk in. I'd say, remember what Mrs. Oram is looking for when we're walking into the classroom? And I had to be very clear, and I had to have students model because they had built bad habits, at least in this scenario. Now, hopefully that's not the case with every scenario, but even if it was a good situation that, that the students had a good scenario before you walked in, you still have different expectations, how you run your classroom, the things that you are looking for, how you start and end class, all these different things. You have different expectations and routines than someone who was before you. So make sure that you let your students know, give them grace as they're trying to relearn somebody's new expectations, but also be very clear with them what it looks like so that they start to develop those new routines and establish those expectations with you. All right. And I thought I had a 4th one, but now I forget. Oh, such is life. Oh, number 4. I remembered it. Don't take all your work home and do that every evening. I know it can get overwhelming. I know you can feel like you're behind because in your district, you may or may not get orientation help with different things. So you might be just like, how do I use the copier? And all these random questions that you're like, or where is this located in the building? Or, all those things that maybe new teachers get in August that you never got in January because you started later. Those kinds of things. I get it, because that was me too. So as you get your feet wet, just give yourself grace and don't take all your stuff home every night. The thing I did take home was my seating charts with pictures, because relationships and names were of utmost importance. So I tried not to take all of my lesson planning home. I did right at the beginning because I had to hit the ground running fast. But quickly try and find a routine for yourself that doesn't take your stuff home every evening or every weekend. Set up a balance of work-life balance right away if you can, because it'll only help you in the long run. All right. I got to get going here pretty quick. But if you have any questions, if you have any things to share in the comments, what do you have to say? What do you have to share with me this morning? I would love to hear your thoughts and connect with you, especially if you're new. I totally get it, and I'm here to support you, to share with you. I actually have a group where we do this a lot, where we support newer teachers. It's really just a beautiful space. It's a very positive space. And so you can get some problem solving questions answered and things like that. So there's a link in the description of this video for that community if you want to go check that out. If you're already in the community, say hi, post, comment, share. We would love to be able to support you in that way. And in the guide section, if this video was helpful, there's a whole bunch of different more trainings in that section that I've made just for you. So go check that out and let me know how it blesses you. Let me know what ahas and wins you have, because that blesses my heart to see how I've been able to help you grow and learn. So have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you on Monday. Bye for now.